Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Eric May, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from Silver Tiger Metals. Please note, you can submit questions to the box on the left of the slides. You can also view the company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I am very pleased to welcome Glenn Jessam, Chief Executive Officer of Silver Tiger Metals, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol SLVTF. It's also on the TSXV under the symbol SLVR. Welcome, Glenn.
Well, Eric, thank you for having us again. Very pleased to be back. It was just October. We were sharing information with you, and boy, a lot's happened since then. So perfect timing for a chance to speak to your clientele again. Now, I guess what we're going to do is jump right in and give everybody a little bit of an overview. I think it's important because we might have some new folks on to take a couple of minutes just to orient anyone to who we are, what we've been doing, and then we'll jump right into the new exciting news from the last time we were together a month or two ago with our PEA coming and contemplating our pre-feasibility study as we get ready to build El Tigre and become a very important silver producer in the world. We're in Sonora, Mexico. We love that state. Its backbone is built on mining and a good state to operate in. Look, what are we here to talk about today? We're here to talk about the asset that we've had for about 8 years now. I'm a securities lawyer by training, so I used my skill set about 8 years ago to put this beautiful asset under our control. We bought it, we delisted the public company that had done some work on it, and we got to work. It's a big asset. It's 30,000 hectares. It's 25 kilometers of the Sierra Madre. But as I always like to remind everyone, it's right here in that middle 2-3 kilometers. We've done all our work, everything we want to talk about. Look, we'll be decades getting to the next 15 kilometers each way, but right now this is enough. And why we got it, old El Tigre mine, 1908 to 1930, big American mine for my American audience. I'm presuming a lot of those on today are that. And 100 million silver equivalent ounces come out of that beautiful mine, underground mine, average grade of 2.2 kilograms per ton silver. I mean, unbelievable grade. Cutoff was 1.2 kilos, and that was in 100 and a 200 ton per day mill over those 20 years. All we had to do was drill underneath, around, north and south a bit of that old mine, and we figured it would go well. Boy, did it go well. So let's have a little overview. I like to remind people what we did. I think it's important, and then talk about what we're here today to talk about, the economics, how we build it. We've been busy. We've raised $91 million in those 8 years. $75 million of that has been in bought deal financings in the last 3 years. It was a tough market to make that happen in. And what was really exciting about that is, the people that gave us that money, that put their faith in us, they're on the screen now. Really, let's look at this side of the screen. Those top 5 or 6 institutions, you know who they are. They're the biggest investors in the precious metals place on the planet, those institutions. And they're the ones that stepped up and said, here's that $75 million, get to work because we know you'll deliver. And we know that you'll get on a path to building a mine, and we've delivered all those things we have. One thing I would like to go back to here as we talk about that overview is, what did we do with that money? We still got over 20 million of it left in the bank, which is important in this market, so we can keep going fast in a tough environment. 62 million of it almost went right in the ground. We're very proud of that over those 8 years. That's how you get where you are now. Only 8 million of that on G&A over those 8 years. We're pretty proud of that too. Put the money in the ground, it'll treat you well. Lots of money left. Drilled 125,000 meters or so. And I'm not going to rehash, but as you know, we basically delivered, and we'll go have a look at that right now. We delivered a beautiful resource estimate, Reader's Digest version. That was on September 12th. This year. We talked about it last time. Go watch the other presentation. It's on our website to get caught up. But we got to move forward with what we're here to talk about today. This is remember that 25 kilometers or 30 kilometers of the trend we have. All this is is here's where we've done all the work. Call that 3 or 4. All right. Just getting going, but boy, just getting going. We delivered on these veins, this pit, this shale, sulfide zone in this shale, 176 million silver equivalent ounces. That's a lot of silver. But always remember, that's a line in the sand. We'll be doing this and drilling this for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, in our opinions. And we've been in Mexico, I think, as most know now and following us, 25 years. Over that period, our group has built 3 large mines. We've sold 2 more to majors. We're pretty good at identifying assets that will be mines and putting them in production. That's where we're going with Silver Tiger. First thing is get the ounces on the books. Line in the sand, 176 million. One thing to keep in mind, though, and I'm going to spin this picture a little bit for you, is going to talk about 2 things. We talked about the last time. Call it right here, 80 million silver equivalent ounces in the pit. The other almost 100 in the veins, sulfide zone, and the shale. So we're off to a great start. And what's next? Next is to get ready to build it. I do want to talk about this very briefly and remind people. This was a very, very important hire that we made this year. This gentleman right here, Francisco Albalez. As you can see, we're with the institutions we have in, with the banks that cover us. We'll talk about that at the end in case you want to get some more information. You need to be able to raise capital and deal with Bay Street, Wall Street, London, Hong Kong. We're pretty good at that. That's sort of my role. Get that money, manage the company. But you need somebody who gets up every day when you get to the point where you've got 176 million silver equivalent ounces, and now you're going to build a mine that's going to be a world-class producer. This is the gentleman, Francisco Albalez. He joined us. Go do your homework. His resume is on our website, our verified presentation on the website. Last 25 years, one of the best mine builders in Mexico. The last 10 of those years, he permitted, built, and operated 2 very big mines for a company called Argonaut. Those mines were El Castillo and San Agustin. Go look at them. Go look at his track record. We were very, very fortunate to be able to get him to leave that company and come join us this year. And he's got the keys to build this. Always a very important thing. And it was a big press release when we put it out, and people should pay attention to his track record of building very profitable big mines. Now, what's all that mean? Lots of silver in the ground, lots of unlimited exploration potential. Well, this is always for us about, from the first drill hole to today, how do we build this thing? And that's what's important. There'll be 2 steps to the build. And I'm going to show you a little cartoon before we talk about this. And I think it's very important that I show you this so you understand how Tiger will be built. It may help with some people who are wondering. There's going to be 2 parts to this. Number 1, there's the open pit. Think about this as a big epithermal vein that comes to surface. That's that vein the old timers took all that silver out of. We got 25 kilometers. We've only drilled 2 or 3 of it. Just getting going, but we got a lot of ounces. That's like your countertop, quartz vein, 80% silver, 20% gold on average, and high grade, 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 80, 100 kilos per ton silver. Incredible ore. Underground mining is difficult. So we always start with the easier part. When that vein came to surface, think about this great plumbing at surface. We're going to talk about this is the open pit. This open pit, that's what the economics are on. That's what we'll do first. That's what will drive the money to go after all that underground. That's how we usually do it in Mexico. And when you go underground, not only are we going to get that vein, big discovery 2 years ago, we got for kilometers, a shale horizon. When that vein goes through that, epigenetic, you get a blowout 10, 20, 30 meters up to a multi-kilo precious metals ore. And then as we continued to explore and got a little deeper, we ran into a big, massive sulfide zone. And that thing is already 750 meters by 350 meters high by 30 to 40 meters wide, multi-kilo in some cases, precious metals, a lot more base metals in this. Pretty exciting. Get the pit, get that going quick. We'll talk about that in a minute. Use the cash flow, upwards of 50 million USD free cash flow after tax per year. That's US, to get under here and attack that. We've already started the process to get ready to take that ore out after the open pit's done. We went underground, Two reasons for that is someday we're going to use this underground to take all this ore out and put it in our mill. We're permitted already. This project is permitted, as most people would know from the last presentation. And the bigger thing, too, also in the shorter term, is you don't have to be a rocket science to figure out that there's where all our drilling comes from, the top of the mountain now. Those are 400 or 500 meter holes. Probably a good idea to put the drill rig in here and start drilling here, in this case, 30, 40 meter holes. In this case, 150 meter holes. And that's really what's happened. Reminding people love to see a mine. We brought Comunvi in a couple of years ago, and we said, we really want to open up that old Tiger mine. And boy, did they do a beautiful job for us. You can see full commercial entrance. I'll tell you, the old timers left us a beautiful old mine. It looked like this, and that's what it looks like throughout. It's just not big enough for our purposes for exploration and commercial. Call that 2.5 by 2.5. So we brought in Comunvi and said, that first half kilometer to the guts of the mine, that's what the old timers left us. Let's blast that out. So we got pretty well 5 meters by 5 meters. And they did a beautiful job. So we walked right into the middle of that old mine, and now we're going to, at some point, haul ore out of there. It's the second part when we get to the underground. But right now, that's going to be a big boon for us during our exploration. Let's go back and talk about money. I always like to talk about money, not just getting the money, but how do we make more money? Because the mines you should invest in are profitable mines. And you have to have a long view that when you put your money in something like this, sure, you can play for the next drill hole or the next up in the market. We always only play for one thing. We're going to build an asset that's going to allow us to take metal out of the ground in what we think in the next 3, 4, 5 years are going to be incredible values that you're going to get paid for this metal you get. So let's go back and talk about the highlights that I wanted to get here. Here we go. This is the new news that everyone should have been paying attention to. What we did is we said, let's go after the economics on the open pit first. Easiest mining, least capital, big money. And if you look at this, look at the numbers on this. This was just released, all done. Independent mining engineers, independent geologists. This is pursuant to 43-101, a pre-feasibility. That's what we call this, a PEA, a preliminary economic assessment. We'll talk about the pre-feasibility in a minute. And what we get there is beautiful. You're getting a NAV on this first part of the asset of almost 300 million US, over 400 Canadian. Look at the IRR, 56%. Payback after you put your money in, after 1.7 years, you're in the black and you're making big money. And you can see the kind of money over that 12-year mine life for that open pit as we see it right now, almost $500 million in after-tax free cash flow. That, sure, maybe we'll give some back to our shareholders, but we're going to use that to go after that underground. Think of the open pit. I'm going to use an American sports analogy. I'm in Canada, so I could use hockey. It'd be the first period, but not even good enough. Your national pastime is baseball. The open pit is not even the first inning of what El Tigre would be. Look at those numbers. The underground will be the other 8 innings, and it may even go into extra innings because that's what this is, a big district. This is how you generate the cash to go after it in a hurry. What we really love the most, though, was 2 things. Look at the capital. We only have to invest $59 million to get that cash flow out. That's why the payback's 1.7 years. Just incredible that, when you do open pit like this, you basically can really drive the economics. I'm going to show you a little diagram in a few minutes, if I still have time. We're going to go in and look at that pit in real 3D, and you're going to see why it's so special, and everybody will understand it. But boy, we kind of like this too. You want to use gold or you want to use silver. And remember, I'm going to go back and tell people something. That's why we report this in gold and silver. Even though we're a silver asset, I want to show you something special about this thing. 800 OPCO. I mean, amazing. At $15, and when you look at all-in sustaining 843, or call it 10 and 11 on the silver price, at $15 silver, this thing has a 30% IRR. That's why it's so beautiful. We don't think it's going to be 30. Our numbers we used for this were $1,822, gold and silver. Boy, yeah. If I redid the numbers now at today's prices, boy, we'd be making a lot more money, and this would all look better. But let's just leave it there. We're miners. We don't want to go with the fluctuation. I can tell you, though, at $2,000 gold and $25 silver, boy, we can't wait to get that metal out of the ground, and we think it's going to get better, too. That being said, let's go look at that beautiful pit. I want to show it to you because it's important. This is a little more technical, and maybe some people don't need to go this deep, but I think it's really, really important you understand how we're going to mine it. And before we do that, let me just show you one more thing. I got to go back to my cartoon. Remember, everything we're talking about here is here. Dig it out, put it on a heap leach pad, get the precious metals out of it. I want to tell you one thing. This is all silver and base metals, high-grade silver. This is a silver mine. It's mainly silver, some gold, base metals as you go deeper. What was really neat, though, was when this vein, this silver vein, which is still there, went to surface, 80% silver, 20% gold. In this great plumbing, what happened was, for whatever reason, 95% of this only is gold. Nice to have gold now. What a beautiful kicker, especially with the price. And what's so nice about that is gold recovers way better in a heap leach than silver. So the mountain really gave us a gift here. Let's go look at it. Let's go look at that gift. We're going to talk about the pit for the rest of it. The first thing we're going to put in production. There it is. I'm going to tell you what that is. That's 2 kilometers. You can see how that pit's going to be built. It's 2 kilometers, 250 meters deep. Call that 250 to 300 meters across. And what's beautiful about this is the width of the ore. We call it the bench, 150 meters of mineralized ore. Okay. What's really neat about this, and this is where you have to really understand Mexico. Those 2 mines that Francisco built, San Agustin and El Castillo, 2 of the biggest mines that have been built in Mexico in the last 10 years. Unbelievable assets. The grade on those was 0.25 and 0.35, and using gold equivalent. That's what, and they were extremely profitable, big projects. What's amazing about this is when we did the work, the grade is 0.65. That's what you call a high grade pit, and I'll show you a better part about that. The other thing is 2-to-1 strip. That means you move 2 tons of ore to get 2 tons of rock to get a ton of ore. Many of these mines are upwards of 5-to-1. What a check mark. Next thing that was amazing, and I mentioned why, is 78.1% recovery in the heap leach in the work we've done so far. Why? Because most of it's gold, and gold comes out in a tail way better in a heap leach than silver. Silver still comes, the little bit that's there, but that's why that recovery is absolutely incredible. So what an asset. You're going to take that for the next 12 years, and you're going to take that ore and put it in a heap leach, and you're going to make, according to our numbers, at the prices I said, 1,822, you're going to make almost $500 million after tax free cash flow. That's all good stuff, but the mountain was so good to us here. What you're looking at here is the full 12 years. That's what it's going to look like. If I go back and show you years 1 to 3, we're going to transition. This is pretty simple to follow. What happened, why that old Tiger mine was there, was those 3 main veins came together. Sites Kelly, the Tiger vein, and the Sui vein. And when they did, you had that mine underground where the old timers got the 100 million silver equivalent ounce at 2.2 kilos. We called it a blowout, and we've been drilling under and around it and keep making new discoveries of sulfide and shale. Well, right in the middle of this, there's your first 3 years of the pit. You can see it there. See how it's dug down. We got incredibly lucky because there was also a blowout of high-grade mineralization here. And what happened was that starter pit. We call that. That's your first 2 to 3 years. That starter pit is 0.95 and it's 0.4 on the strip, which means it's basically no strip. It's all ore. That's your first 2-3 years. It's just so lucky to have that. And why is that important? I'm going to take you to the next step. And then we're going to end up, and I'm going to have some time for questions because we're about 18 minutes in. Now, hold the thought. We're not done yet. We can't build on a PEA. We need to get to PFS, pre-feasibility study. And that's what we'll build it on. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. And that's going to take us till June to get that completed of 2024. So let's go back and zoom out. You know what our beautiful pit looks like. What do we got to do? Well, we got 20 million bucks in the bank. We're going to spend 6 of that between now and June of 2024. So watch us make sure we do that. And what's that going to do for us? Well, it's going to take the PEA, what I put out, to pre-feasibility study, PFS. Important, because that's what we build on. That's what we bank it on. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, that being said, 4 drill rigs. Even though we put the PEA out and the MRE out, September and November, each of them, 6 months ago, we started getting the pre-fees ready because we'd done all the work to have those pieces of paper and documents drafted. 4 drill rigs turning today. Those 4 drill rigs are going to do 3 or 4 different things between now and June. First thing is we have 54 million tons of ore. 43 is indicated, 11 is inferred. When you go to pre-fees from PEA, you can't include that 11 million. I ain't losing that. No way. So what we're doing is we're going to do all the drilling that's required to move that 11 million tons, really out here on the ends mainly, to indicate it so we keep the 54 million tons. We don't want to lose any of that beautiful ore that makes all that money. Second thing is, we think as we're drilling some more of these holes, especially some deeper down underneath, that not only are we going to keep the 54 million tons, we think we've got a real good chance to increase that tonnage by 15 to 20%. That'll add another 2 years or so onto that 12-year mine life. I'll take that cash flow, $100 more million free cash flow at the end of the project. So that'll be done. That's what we're working on. Second thing is that's already been done is you got to do a little bit more metallurgical work. We drilled 6 more metallurgical holes to make sure that that 78% recovery, which was fantastic, maybe we can fine tune to get a little better. Those 6 holes are done. Next thing is we need to do 13 geotechnical holes. We bring in Golder. You guys will all know Golder, big American company, very, very good at what they do. Pit slope design, and they're going to do the engineering for the pad. They're done. They were on 2-3 months ago, their first visit. They're there again regularly. They've laid down 13 geotechnical holes. I think we've got 3 of them already done. That's to get the integrity, how steep the slope can be. We think it's going to come out very, very, very better than we even thought. They'll finish those 13 holes by, call it the end of January. But the most important thing we're going to do with that drill program is right here. This is how we bank this. It's important you understand this. I'm 20 mil in the bank, going to spend down to about 14, 15 by the time we get the pre-feasibility study. I'm going to need to get that 59 million USD. I'd like to borrow that. And that's my plan. We are going to borrow. It will be non-dilutive financing. So to borrow that 59 million, I need to let the bank know that they're going to get paid back in 1.7 years. They want to see that I have proven, not just indicated, proven and measured ounces for the first 2 years. That's really their guarantee they get paid. So what we're going to do is that starter pit, that's that one I showed you, that first 2.5, 3 years, we're going to drill that, and we're going to move that indicated to proven and measured. And that's what we need to do to have that 2 to 2.5 years of guaranteed production. So then the 1.7 year payback, the banks feel comfortable. That's Reader's Digest. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's what we're going to do. So come June, that pit is going to be ready for Francisco, who I told you about, one of the best builders in Mexico, to get to it and get this thing built. And that's really what we're going to do. I want to end on one other thing, and this should give people some comfort. And if you want to get on our email list, you'll get access to all this because, not only do we have those fantastic institutions that you saw, we have amazing analyst coverage. We just got back. I was just back from the mountain. All reports by the analysts. Took all the analysts for a site visit in October in between the MRE and the PEA. They love what they saw. They wrote it all up. We also had 2 other banks with us there. They're analysts. The analyst for PI Financial out of Vancouver was there, and the analyst for BMO Capital Markets. They led our last bought deal in February for $18 million. But all of this analyst coverage, every time there's a press release, they do their work. They build their own models. They're all independent geologists or mining engineers. They all have their thoughts. They're all very positive. If you get on our email list, we can make sure you get access to that as they start coming out. But look, I can sit here all day and go on. It's really simple what we're going to do. We have a beautiful asset. We've only started to explore it, 3 or 4 kilometers in the middle. It's the same here. It's the same here. We'll get to that in the next 5, 10, 15 years. This really is a district. A lot of people say they have a district. We knew we had a district when we acquired this thing. But that being said, we know how to do it. We've got to get that pit, which I've talked about. That's the easiest part. No mining's easy, but that's the easiest part. And then what we've got to do, we've got to transition. And you can see we're already in the underground. We're already permitted for that. And we get that going in. The open pit is the first inning. The underground is the other 8. That's El Tigre in a nutshell. So I'd be pleased now to take some questions if you have any. I guess I've got to go hit a button they taught me to see anybody's questions. Oh, yeah, 2 people are there. And we can basically start answering some of the questions. Sean, what we have here is, and I'm not supposed to say people's names. I didn't say anybody's last name, I hope. How long till the mine starts producing? Look, here's where we are with that. And I told you what we're going to do, and maybe this is the easiest thing to have it on. This is first. So this will be the first thing we get at, the open pit. I hope that I know we'll have the pre-feasibility study done by June. I'll have the financing and non-dilutive lined up well before that. And we hope to start in June with building, excuse me, and then we will, look, Francisco has said it's going to be a 14 to 16 month period to build. So let's just give him 16, and he basically says he can do it in 12, but I'm just going to say 14 to 16, give him some cushion there. So if we start in June, third quarter 2024, we become the world's next great silver producer, and that's pretty well record time from where we sit right now. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of help. That's my plan. Can't guarantee it's going to happen, but if you watch these videos for many years, we usually do what we say. That's really important for us. When do you expect to know whether the permit for the heap leach will be known? We feel really, really good about that. I don't need that until June. Francisco Albalez is our expert. We brought him in. He was when he joined us, he actually joined us in May. He immediately said, look, the underground is beautiful. We're going to get to that. This is the best pit I've probably ever seen in Mexico. We need to build it, and I know how we can get the permit. Not a new permit. We have a permit. You're fully permitted for the underground in Sonora. We have all the cyanide approvals. We have all of the Merrill-Crowe approvals. We're going to use that permit, and we're going to basically have that amended. That amendment went in July. It's going very, very well. I can't give dates on that, but as you can see how I'm steaming ahead, we expect we're going to have that by June. Let's see how things unfold. That's that question. What are the milestones for 2024 with headwinds that concern you? Look, how do I say this? It's not been an easy 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years, guys, in this space, but we've been here for 25, and prices go up and prices go down. We're very happy that these people, all of these funds, for a long, long time have believed in our track record. And when a lot of companies are slowing down because of headwinds, there's no sentiment in the market right now. The price is unbelievable. We can't wait to get metal because we think it's going up from here. We're going to make so much money. But it's been tough to move projects forward. $100 million in 8 years. We're pretty proud of that. 75 in the last 3, 20 left in the bank to finish the job. I'm not going to say we don't care about the price. We want that. We want sentiment. We all want our stocks to be higher. But all this is done with no sentiment in the market and great pricing, and a project like this ready to go in production. Boy, I'll tell you right now, you'll never get a chance to buy an asset like this again. And I'm not just saying it because it's my company. I look at it and go, Tiger is on sale. So anyone I think who comes in here is going to be very happy. Headwinds really don't affect us. We've 250 gold. We built mines. It's over 2,000 now. It couldn't be any better. We just need to execute our plan. I think there's some more here. Let me see if I've got time for another couple. Boy, that's all the questions. So I guess with that, we can end the presentation. I have a minute. Look, here's what I'm going to say. For 8 years, we've done what we said. We got the project. We raised $100 million. We did all the hard work. We developed underground. We delineated an amazing open pit heap leach. We put the resource estimate out for that. We put the PE out for that. Absolutely incredible. That's the first inning. The underground, we delineated and drilled off 100 million silver equivalent ounces already. Remember, we're just getting going. We'll be doing it for 5, 10, 15 years. That's on the books already. And as part of that, we knew we had those high-grade silver veins the old timers left us. We found the sulfide zone, a major new discovery 2 years ago. this shale zone 2 years ago, and this new sulfide zone. That's a game changer. Lots more on that. That's a big body of high-grade ore. Those discoveries will keep coming. They will keep getting bigger. So first, as I say, early days for El Tigre. We're going to do what we say. PEA's done. Pre-feasibility study will come. We'll get the money to build that. We'll move towards getting our permit. We already are permitted, an amendment for the heap leach. We'll build that, and then we go underground. Come back in a year and 2 and 3 and judge us. That's our plan, and usually we execute and do what we say. So look, I want to thank everybody for taking the time. I know everyone's busy. It's been an amazing year for El Tigre. You can see what we've done this year. I think next year will even be bigger and better.